And I remember one day I would feel excitement. Oh my God, is it really me going to Berlin?
Sometimes we name our thoughts as feelings. I feel like he doesn't like me. It's not a feeling, it's a thought, and thoughts do lie.
It's easier to go when you have this mindset. I will enjoy and I will get the most out of it, like of any experience.
When we are feeling anxiety, there is tension in the body. And tension in the body can be translated to I feel excited. And excited is like a positive thing.
So anxiety always goes together with everything that unknowns, but it doesn't mean that if you're scared, then it's something necessarily wrong is happening.
Welcome to the Volunteer Support Podcast, brought to you by the European Union's co-funded project Promptus EDU, a collaboration between associations Audis Aut Mori and Building Bridges. Welcome, dear listeners, to another exciting episode of Volunteer Support Podcast. This episode is about a common question asked by volunteers before departure. Will I be able to enjoy the experience? In this episode, with you our team from our association Audis Aut Mori. Me, Tadas, and Gabriela.
Hello!
But wait, there is more. Brace yourselves for a delightful twist as we are joined by a remarkable guest, Polina, a dedicated volunteer and facilitator engaged in multiple impactful projects. Polina, as we kick off our conversation, could you share a bit about yourself for our listeners? What would be your introduction, giving them a glimpse into who you are and the passion that drives you?
Hello, everyone. Once again, thank you very much for having me today. And wow, a glimpse into who you are. Such a deep question from the very beginning. So I will try to put it shortly. Originally, I'm from Belarus, but for almost 2 years now, I live, volunteer, study and work in Germany, in Berlin. I started my journey as a volunteer. It was my first experience volunteering abroad. And I'm very happy that I dared to try to make this step and to start this journey. It opened so many doors that I couldn't imagine exist before. I applied and I went to Berlin as a volunteer. And now I also work, as you mentioned, as a facilitator in the projects and the training courses and youth exchanges as well. And I also work as a curator for volunteers who are coming for our organization. So basically for new Polinas who are coming on my place. And yeah, it's very interesting to observe how things changed, how roles changed, and how now I can also help those who are in the same position that I was almost 2 years ago.
That's a nice glimpse of your life. So then let's talk about this question that we have. This was the question that was asked by volunteers when we had a meeting, and that will I be able to enjoy the experience question was in the phase when they were preparing to depart. They already have the place in the project, but they're still asking, will I be able to enjoy the experience? Will it be useful? So did you had, Polina, any anxiety, any questioning of this before going to volunteer?
I think it's a very good question and very important aspect of the experience because it's not only about finding an organization for whom you will volunteer, not only about, making visa and going through bureaucratic questions, but it's about this jumping into unknown part as well. Of course, I had an anxiety. Of course, I was scared, sometimes scared in a good way, sometimes just scared. Just to make a step back and explain my situation, it was, as I said, my first experience volunteering, my first experience volunteering abroad, my first experience living abroad for a long time. So I went for a 6 months volunteering program and I didn't know what to expect. Of course, I searched about the organization, about activities and everything, but one thing you read on the website and another thing you try to imagine how my life will look for 6 months in another country where I have never been, on a language that I never spoke day to day before, and so many other uncertainty points that, of course, brought an anxiety to this stage of my experience, to this stage of my life. But coming back to the question, will I be able to enjoy? Will it be useful for me? I don't want to sound very existential, but I believe that this is the answer is a little bit in the question itself. It's very important which approach, which mindset you have from the beginning. Not only for volunteering experience, but in general for life. It's easier to go when you have this mindset. I will enjoy and I will get the most out of it, like of any experience. With this approach, you can learn from everything. I've always very much inspired with people who are able to learn. I don't know, they go to the supermarket, they wait in a long queue, and they have a life changing insight just from observing the things around. Or this doing a very hard, challenging deadline, short deadline task, and they still learn something from it. What I'm bringing these examples is that if you can learn something even from daily small things, of course you will learn a lot through participation in volunteering program, especially if you go and participate in a volunteering program abroad. But even if you do like any program, you join any opportunity, any event, any organization, you will learn from it. That's for sure. The most important thing is from the very beginning, you say to yourself, I don't know what exactly going to happen, which is totally normal because you're literally jumping into unknown, but I'm open for it. Yes, it's scary and it's okay. It's totally okay that it's scary. You just say it to yourself or like to people whom you trust, you can as well share it and talk it through. But always having in mind, yes, it's scary, but this is basically the bravest is to make the step and to learn from this experience. If you have this approach, then nothing can stop you. But of course, further I will relate a bit more because it's not only about the mindset. There are other very concrete steps that you can do to ensure that you will not only have this anxiety, but you will also have a great experience and maybe also how you can reduce the very understandable nervousness before starting the new chapter, I would say, in your life.
What I'm hearing is that it's a lot of unknown, and of course, with the unknown comes a little bit of anxiety. And I think that anecdote of anxiety would be trust. And you mentioned that you trusted the process, you trusted yourself, and be like, yeah, I'm gonna make the best out of it. So this is trust in yourself, and I feel like it overcomes the anxiety and can really help in this situation.
Yes, definitely. Because actually, an anxiety shows you that this is the area of my life I've never been before, never explored before. I don't have a map for this landscape, for this area. But if I want to have this map, I have to go and draw it. We like when we know how things goes. We like to feel like some sort of predictability that we know the order of things, we can rely on them. When you jump into unknown, you can rely on yourself, but on things around you have to figure out them first. So anxiety always goes together with everything that unknowns, but it doesn't mean that if you're scared, then it's something necessarily wrong is happening. No, something great is happening, something new is happening, something unknown. Yes, with an anxiety, but this is a package that you have because of how we as humans were evolving.
It's going out of comfort zone. And what the research is also showing that mindset really helps a lot. When we are feeling anxiety, there is tension in the body. And tension in the body can be translated to I feel excited. And excited is like a positive thing. So the same thing in the body, you can just think, okay, I'm excited to go to this exchange. There will be some nice experience. One research was quite interesting that two groups was getting lectures of 30 minutes. There are some questions in it. And that tutorial, one was about negative things about stress and the other was about positive things about stress. And it was very influencing the outcome after, if the person was sensing stress as a negative or not. So that mindset is just, it's very strong. And we just have to think also that stress is, as you said, Paulina, is natural. It's like we are feeling some tension, it's something unknown, but it's not all the time negative. It's a lot of positive also.
Yeah, totally. And I remember observing myself at this point when you already get accepted, you already preparing your documents, but still you can't imagine all the details, all this unknown in front of you. And I remember one day I would feel excitement. Oh my God, is it really me going to Berlin? Am I that girl going to have this experience? And next day you would be like, Oh my God, I never was outside of the country or apart from my family for such a long period of time. Even though I was studying in the capital, while my hometown is like 3 hours by train away, so not that far, but still I was not living with a family at this point. So I had experience living on my own. It wasn't for 6 months. So I knew that I'm going one way and then I'm coming back only after 6 months. So one day I would be, oh my God, it's so cool. And another day, oh my God, am I really sure that I will handle it? So I totally understand that one day you are more able to navigate your anxiety, or not even an anxiety, this energy that the whole unknown creates in you, and you're navigating it into the way of more anxious or more excited. Sometimes it works better, sometimes it doesn't work. It just reminds us that even if one day you're not able to switch from being anxious to being excited, it's still okay. It still doesn't show that if I feel this way, this is a sign this experience is going to be awful. No, it's not going to be awful. Again, you have in mind that I will make most out of it, and days they come and go. The most important, you have this vision for the whole experience. And if one day is a bit overwhelming with an anxiety, then you remember, okay, tomorrow I will try again and I will look at the positive side of things and I will feel excited.
What I'm hearing there was it's also about the ability to be with the feeling. Okay, I feel excited or anxious. What do I do about it? How do I be with it? How do I stay with it? Or maybe something changed and it really influences the way you are being in this world. It seems like you are able to manage and shift your attitudes according to the needs of the situation. And I wanted to ask, is this was always you, or did this challenge somehow help to develop this, I don't know, emotional intelligence, the management of emotions, and just to become more aware of it?
It's a very good question. It's really hard to track the point, but I think that I always tried to be a kind of person who reflects on their own feelings and notice things inside changing and observe, okay, why I feel this way right now? Should I do something about it or should I just let it be? And of course, challenges that are coming with new experiences, if you're approaching them with open mind and the ability to reflect a little bit, they only help you to develop emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is not something that you can only read from books and then, oh, yeah, I handled it, like I nailed it. You may get all the theory, but at some point you need to put your theory into practice. And I think when I was around 16 years old or something like this, I was really into these self-help books with about mindset, positive thinking. Nothing bad about it, and just maybe now I would not find them as helpful, but I think that at that point I read a lot of them and had all these ideas in my mind. And then when challenges are coming, they're checking like, okay, did you really learn this lesson? Let's try to put it into practice. All these affirmations, all these self reassuring statements, you have to at some point to make sound the way that it will work for you, not just a phrase in a book, but something that you can implement. And regarding the energy shifts and what helped me, as I said, there were days when I was very excited. There were days when I was very neutral because it was something so out of reach, so out of what I'm used to. I was just unable to imagine, honestly. Okay, I have no idea what to expect. So I now maybe I'm just tired of feeling, but I don't feel anything. Or there were days when I was a bit too anxious about it. I believe it's sometimes was in my control. Sometimes I just had to let things go the way they're going and feelings inside unfold the way they were needed to unfold in this moment. But what is helping is focus. And what is changing your attitude is the way you focus and you shift your focus. For example, you think, will I be able to handle all my responsibilities? What if I don't have enough experiences? What if I will not get along with other volunteers? What if there will be some questions and I will not have someone to like the real challenges that you don't have an answers right now? And because of all this uncertainty and the probability of these challenges, you feel overwhelmed with an anxiety. You can put focus on this, but then at some point you can tell yourself, okay, but apart from this, I'm going to live in a new country. I'm going to visit this, and this. Like, for example, I was going to Berlin. I was collecting photos in Pinterest on the special board with the places in Berlin that I would like to visit. So at some point, you have to shift from thinking about probability of challenges and problems to the part that excites you. Like, oh my God, I really want to go to this place. And I will have this chance just in 2 months. Or I would like to try this food. And look, I checked near my accommodation. There is a very nice place there we can go and try it. So where your focus goes, your energy goes. I don't want to sound too holistic, but yeah, you put your energy, you put your focus, and where your mind and your thoughts are, also your inner peace will be in the same place. If you put all the effort, energy, all the focus to all the possible challenges, part of them you can predict, but to be honest, most of the challenges in this life we just can't imagine. Usually, what goes wrong is something that we cannot imagine right now. So we're spending like 99% of time worrying and trying to mentally or practically prepare for things that will never happen. And this 1% that happens, it's usually something that we couldn't imagine at this point just because we didn't have experiences. So at some point, it's important to try to cherish your inner curious child and think, okay, all these serious adult parties apart, let's think about where I would like to go, which club I would like to go and dance at my first weekend in Berlin, or where I would like to go and buy jewelry or some souvenirs for my family when I'm before departure. So yeah, it's about shifting the focus and changing your perspective a bit.
Yeah, it's very well said. And when we are going to the new place, there is a lot of unknown. And as you said, researching the destination, what you will be doing there, how the local culture is, how the community is living there, and so on, is really helping, because then you understand, okay, people are living like that, so I will be living with this kind of people. And you are just getting more familiar even before coming there. And that makes less stressful the situation.
You're building the connection even before going there. What I also thought during your speech was about the complexity of our mind and feelings, that it's not, okay, I'm feeling one feeling that is an anxiety. Yes, there is a lot of them. There is a word ambivalence that at the same time you are feeling, let's say, positive and negatives. Maybe you are scared, but you're also excited. And I think it's really wise to understand the complexity and not reduce yourself only into, oh, I'm a sad person, or I'm an anxious person, or I don't know,
Happy.
just happy
Yeah,
situation.
that's such a good point. I really love that you brought the ambivalence because I think very often we forget that all experiences and life itself is way more complex than just one sentence and one feeling. I'm sad or I'm anxious or I'm whatever. It's never one thing because we process in so many parallel processes and we react to so many things that are either real or happening only in our minds. So usually we have not even one or two, we might have the whole cocktail of feelings, and it's totally fine. And it's not that easy to, first of all, acknowledge it and identify, because it would be way easier to just put one label, I'm angry, or I'm not in the mood. But I'm not in the mood is not an answer. I think that what is might be very helpful is to sit a little bit and to try to name what exactly is inside my cocktail. Sometimes you have to do something with these feelings, sometimes you don't have. Not all the feelings need to be addressed, need to be immediately be followed by actions. And even naming the feelings that you're experiencing right now can very much help you. As we said previously, unknown bring an anxiety or nervousness. So when I don't understand what's going on inside me, what's going on inside myself, it's only increases amount of stress. The moment I'm able to at least capture, identify, names the ingredients of my cocktails, even if I don't do any further steps, it's already gives me the feeling of the system or a bit more structure in the chaotic experience, which is actually totally fine. Like this, to have chaotic experience, this life is not as structured as we would like to see.
And in the youth line that I'm volunteering, where we provide emotional support, we advise people who are experiencing intense emotions just to stay with the feeling, because we believe that if you are staying with it, the feeling will change. If you reject it, let's say you are afraid of something and you avoid, the fear will grow. But if you sit with it, somehow find comfortable position to be with it, then the feeling can evolve and somehow change.
Yes, feelings are just symptoms, and when we are thinking about it, when we are feeling, then the body understands, okay, I already showed it that there is something happening with the body. But if you are blocking, if you are suppressing, let's say you are using some drugs or alcohol, you're just trying run away from that, so then it's just repeating and you are feeling again and again the same. And as you said, just thinking about the feeling can help, and partially meditation works like that. You're thinking about your mind, you're connecting with your body, and you're getting more calm.
And it's useful to name the feeling. And it's kind of a way to be with that feeling. Okay, I'm recognizing this is an anxiety and this is a fear. And just with naming it and accepting it, it's a way to be with it.
I like your point regarding naming the feelings because it reminded me about the thing when you name the feelings and you're practicing it to sit with them and recognize feelings, emotions that are going through you. You also recognize that, I already felt this way. I already felt anxious and passed, or like I overcame it. And it's also increase your self-esteem. And this is what I would say one of the advices that I would give before this experience, before jumping into unknown. Yes, you don't know what to expect from this exact situation. Yes, you can prepare, and I would definitely also, as a part of my advice, to prepare, to collect information that you can collect. As we were saying, like learning a bit about the place you're going, about traditions of food or whatever, so you don't feel like you're going, don't not having a map at all. But then what is really helping is to check which experiences I already have, because it's I definitely not the first time in your life when you're going for something new. Everyone at some point of their life either went to kindergarten for the first time, for the school, for the university, for the new friend circle, to the parties where they didn't know anyone. So we all doing this first step into unknown from time to time quite regularly. It means that we have this experience. So even if you're now thinking, oh my God, I've never been this anxious before in my life, reflect a bit on the experience when you already have been anxious, how it evolved, how the whole situation, what you learned from the situation, what helped you to go through this experience, and take this anxiety as a reminder. Okay, it reminded me about this situation. What helped me at that point? To make a little bit of research, talk with a friend, to go for a walk, to whatever helped you at this point, you can try to implement it to this experience. And it also gives you this feeling of I can rely on myself. I can rely because I already did it before. I already have all the necessary tools, instruments, experiences, attitudes that will help me previously and will help me in this experience. And I think it's very important to remind yourself that you already have everything to deal with it. Regardless of what your anxiety telling you in the moment, it's also important to remind that not everything our feelings are telling us right now in the moment is 100% true. We also have the tendency of exaggeration a little bit in the moment. Like if you feel in the moment of an anxiety, oh my God, I just will not deal with this experience. It's just too much. I'm unprepared. I'm not the right person to do it. Da, 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 da. Maybe your anxiety is not 1000% honest with you. Think about the real facts, like solid experiences from your past, where you can look and say, stop. But I already did with this situation. It means that I have this qualities, this experience. And regardless of what my anxiety is telling me right now, I will be able to go through this experience as well. And again, I will be able to take the most out of it as I did in the previous situation.
Our feelings can be quite different from the reality. We may live in another scenario and like lots of feelings, and then that gap is really making a difference.
I want to just say, I think feelings do not lie. That's my opinion. But sometimes we name our thoughts as feelings. I feel like he doesn't like me. It's not a feeling. It's a thought, and thoughts do lie. But the feelings, they are real. You are feeling them. But maybe not to put so much emphasis for the feelings to ruin your plans or something. When we are preparing volunteers, sometimes they say, oh, I have a little bit of fear. We say, yeah, get your fear in hand and go together. It's not letting the fear to stop you. Go together with the fear and do what you were aiming for.
And what else is also helping to feel better, to not feel that much anxiety, is also aligning expectations with reality, not just feelings. When we are researching about the place and all the details, we will have to also check with coordinators what are the conditions there, to not think that, oh, it will be like everything amazing. Maybe have lower expectations to get a higher result than to have just too high expectations, and then the reality would just make it a worse experience. The volunteer coordinator from Spanish organization Building Bridges said that he says for coming volunteers that they should expect the worst apartment that they can imagine, because in the documents it's written that it should be livable place. It's not written that it should be like a nice place for your taste and so on. So if it will be not so nicely looking, then you may just have a project if someone else lets you to make it nicer for you. So that expectations is also the thing that we have to think about and change a bit, maybe.
Sometimes we can look in the situation not as a victim, but as a creators, and we can improve our situation, the environment around you with this attitude.
Yeah, sometimes you can change, sometimes not. If it's about rainy weather, you can't change it. You can just deal with it. You can adapt.
I think what also can be added to this point regarding some things we can control, some things we cannot control, and what can be helpful in terms of reducing this very natural stress in face of the unknown is to take in control and responsibility over things that you have control. As I said before, you go into this experience and there are so many unknown details that it can be frustrating. But still, there are quite a lot of steps that you can undertake for your preparation. So if at some point you feel that I'm jumping into unknown and it's very stressful, then you need to, you sit with your feelings, you allow your feelings to be, you look at them, you name them, but at some point, maybe your feelings are asking you take some steps. And it might be very helpful to go into practical direction. What was helping me reducing an anxiety before this jumped into unknown is to prepare what I could prepare. Like closer before departure, of course, is, I don't know, checking the weather and thinking, do I need to buy more t-shirts? Do I need to repair some shoes before going? But even before packing your luggage, it can be closing all the questions with the documents and bureaucracy if you need to prepare. Okay, this is what I can control. So I will not have at least any problems, any questions from my side when it will be the time. For example, in my case, I was coming outside of European Union, so there are quite a lot of bureaucracy and quite a long process with all the documents. And before coming, when I already was done with visa and with invitation, with everything, actually, like when I was coming, it was very stressful because of the situation on the border. It was closed. I was still the literally very last day. I wasn't sure if I would be allowed to go through the border. But okay, what I can do from my side, I can open the website of the border services, read all the requirements, regardless of how unclear they were, and prepare everything that they mentioned. Like again, regardless of how confusing it was, I could go through the list and at least I know that I did everything from my side that I could. It was very stressful situation in terms not because of volunteering, just because of the situation on the border, and it wasn't that easy from Belarus to go to Europe at this point. And it's till the very last day. I didn't know if I had a ticket, but I didn't know it will help me to cross the border or not. But I prepared all the documents, like double amount. I also made all the scans, like all the copies, photocopies of the documents, just in case, like if something ever get lost abroad, I have at least all the copies. I have special folder on the laptop with all the copies of my documents, with the invitation, with a volunteering contract and so on. I collected the contacts of people that I know, or my parents knew, or my friend of a friends knew. Yes, I'm going to another country. I don't know anyone there, but okay, I have contact of the person from organization. I have contact of person who works with volunteers and prepares them. Then I think a friend of a friend lives in this part of Germany. A friend of parents lives in this part of Germany. Maybe, and I never actually contacted these people. Like I never needed these contacts. But at least I knew if something, I have someone to turn to. I can't control all of this if something, but I can collect list of contacts so I know to whom I'm turning to. And it gives you this feeling that I'm not powerless. It's not just me against my anxiety. I can undertake steps to be as prepared as I can. And when you done everything from your side, then okay, at this point you can just allow things to happen because you know that everything that was on you, you did it.
That's very well said, and it's very interesting your experience because it was much harder to come in to European Union for you.
But it shows so much determination.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh my God, yes, that was a story.
But now I believe you are remembering it more as a positive experience because it was a challenge for you and it's like a winning, as I understand.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Actually, you add it to your collection of your achievements, like not necessarily achievements that you put a medal cup on the shelf where it's written in the first place, but this is like mental capacities or practical experiences. Okay, if I was able to deal with a closed border that I needed to cross somehow with all the uncertainty with documents, the next time when I'm facing very frustrating German bureaucracy, I'm saying to myself, I did it once, I did it twice, I will do it again. So you add it to the collection of the experiences that boost your self-confidence. And maybe again, the experience itself, it can be stressful, it can cause an anxiety, but looking back at it, this is actually something that help us grow. We cannot go through the life, like, again, I'm sounding maybe too philosophical, but I mean, we cannot go through the life always enjoying and all the steps being very easy to undertake, all the projects that we implement, they're going with no errors and no complications, and we're still learning something from it. Like when everything goes too easy, growth doesn't go very quickly. It's quite slow growth. Maybe you're still learning, but it's too chill to really grow. You just chill. But when something stressful is coming, then you have to leave this comfort state for some point and react, and then you learn. So this is part of life, and the sooner you accept it, it helps not only in terms of volunteering. I would say it helps in general.
Yeah.
That I will have stress anyway, I will have an anxiety anyway, there will be problems anyway. So let's face them and let's make out of the most out of it. Because again, there will be stress definitely through my whole life, but I know that I can overcome it.
Yeah.
We often say to volunteers to build this resilience, we need some kind of support system. It can be either from us, like from our mental inner strength, but it can also be other people, a team, or maybe a mentor as well. Could you share your experience on that? Who supports you, who gives you more energy, or just safe space to be around?
What definitely was helping for me on the stage of preparation for before volunteering started is to be in contact with the person responsible for working with volunteers. The moment I have some questions with the bureaucracy, with documents, at least for me, this is one of the most stressful topics always, not only in terms of volunteering. Every time I need to deal with documents, with bureaucracy, I feel my breath changing, my heartbeat changing, especially like first time dealing with a complete different bureaucratical systems like Belarus and Germany, two different worlds, different languages, everything different. And also, it's not like just one aspect of bureaucracy. You think about your tickets, about insurance, about, in my case, it was also university, about organization, like many things. And it was overwhelming. So I had a person to whom I was able to address. So it's not like emotional support, but in this case, I didn't need someone to tell me, oh, it will be good. I needed someone to tell me, okay, you apply this paper here, this paper there, and this application you need to submit until tomorrow. This was very helpful. So when you have someone to turn to have already experience who went through you are going through right now. So I think this is also one of the points of this podcast as well. So you listen to those who already have this experience, and you don't feel like you're the first person on the moon experiencing like exploring the landscape. Because this was very helpful for me. Also, regarding more of emotional aspect, I would say it's combination of self-regulation, as we were saying about sitting with emotions and recognizing them. I'm all like since I'm 14 or something like this, I'm doing journaling. So writing things down when I was in a point of feeling overwhelmed with emotions was also very helpful, because when you write down things, you have to structure them. When things are going in circles in your head, it's very easy to get lost in them. You don't even notice it. Maybe there's just two thoughts going in a circle, but because they're going and changing again and switching too fast, you feel like there are 20 several thoughts like simultaneously, even though there are only two of them in reality, or only one core reason why you are so stressed. So to notice these things, it was very helpful for me to just write things down. And because you have to put what you feel into verbal expression, so you have to formulate, you have to break things down. And of course, it's always helpful to talk with someone who you can rely on and who can support you, even if they don't share the same experience. Like my parents, for example, they never been in the same situation, but they always say, we believe in you, you have capacity. Like when you don't notice maybe capacity in yourself, you can turn to people who can still see this strong points that will help you go through this process. And they can, the moment when you are not able to notice them, there is someone who will point and say, oh, come on, you will handle it because you do this. I see it in you. I saw it in you through years. And I know that this experience you will also go through successfully. So I think, yeah, this is combination that helped me a lot. And now I think I mentioned that I work with volunteers now. So this is what I also trying to do from the very beginning. On one side, trying to give as many insights, like from the first day as possible, about some practical experiences just living in Germany, living in Berlin, huge city with a lot of peculiarities, and some insights may be very helpful, like rather than experiencing everything on your own, just to, okay, keep your eye on this, have in mind this, but also just checking from time to time. Hey, how are you doing? Do you miss your country? Do you feel yourself at home? Is there anything we can organize? Okay, let's go together, let's explore together. So like also trying to be both practical in a way, sharing my experience that I have, but also given the space. If you want to talk, I'm here. If you don't want to talk, you just want to be like distracted in a good way, let's go for a walk together. If you like need some space, okay, we can reschedule the activities and you take your space to just be on your own, because I also understand it might be quite overwhelming, the whole experience in general.
Very well said. So, support system, there can be a lot of people, as you said, local coordinators of the organization. They can be even previous volunteers that already had the experience, family and friends. Another thing that also helps in this experience is viewing challenges as opportunities. And we talked about that. And also, we have recorded already an episode about this. So I recommend listeners to listen to this previous episode named Cultivating a Growth Mindset, How to View Challenges as Opportunities for Learning. Because we are having lots of challenges and this experience can be challenging and we can grow and learn from that.
Do you have some final thoughts or advices for the volunteers who are still asking themselves that will I be able to enjoy this experience?
I think I will come back to the thought that I started with. If you say to yourself, I want to enjoy this experience and I want to take most out of it, then you will. That's for sure. Because you will feel scared, you will feel anxious, there will be some points of uncertainty, but it's still fully okay. It doesn't anyhow mean that the experience is bad or it doesn't meant for you to experience. No, it just means that we are all humans and we have complex emotions, we have complex response to this complex reality. And you can feel several things simultaneously. You can allow yourself to have different feelings, even though some of them might be a bit more complicated and difficult to handle. I don't like to call any feelings or emotion negative or positive. We all need them all. There's some negative or forbidden emotions or feelings. Let them happen. They are not necessarily showing you that, oh, don't go this way. Everything that is new and unknown brings fear or and anxiety together. As you greatly said, take it in hand and go together. Those new experiences, they always worth overcoming anxiety. You will always learn from new experiences, regardless will they meet your expectations. Most likely they will be different from what you expected or what you imagined, because this is life. It always surprise you. And if you can imagine things 1000% the way they are, life will be so boring. Like, come on. So you take your anxiety, you say to yourself, of course I will learn things. I'm jumping into unknown. Of course I will take so much of this experience. And I would say, if someone would tell me 2 years ago where I would, like, at which point in my life I would be now because of this experience, I would be very much shocked. If at this point of my life, when I was waiting for my bus to Berlin to arrive to the bus station, I knew how things would unfold, I could never imagine it. I just didn't have all the input. I didn't have all the information. I didn't know what to expect, but I was ready to embrace this unknown and be excited about it and simultaneously be very anxious about it. And it's fully okay.
The thing that you said, Polina, that you were thinking about the previous years, how you were feeling, and so on. So, what I remembered, what can encourage listeners, the future volunteers, to go is that that thought is actually backed by research. So, the thing is that when we are thinking about challenges, we are thinking about challenges just with the person that we are now. But we are having challenges like future challenges. It's like it will be in some time distance. And then when we are thinking about the previous years, then we can reflect how much did we change. So actually we are not realizing how much can be changed through the time. And through those a couple months, we can change a lot, and then we can be stronger, have more skills to do something that is needed for that challenge. So that's encouragement that we are changing, we are learning, and that can help us for different challenges that we have.
Thank you for sharing. I think this is really a nice sum up of the whole talk.
And I invite you to share your thoughts, questions, or experiences on Spotify. We have a question. You can just answer there, and that information we may use in future podcasts to share with other listeners. Keep listening to our podcast, and we will meet you in other episodes. Goodbye, listeners.
Bye.
Bye. It was a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you.